Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for being here today. We have a really exciting installment of Trailblazers We Love. My name is Andrew with Cloud Adoption Solutions, and today I'm joined by our good friend, Kathy. Kathy, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate you coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I know you go way back with Cloud Adoption Solutions and Shannon, our owner. So could you just tell me a little bit about your start to the Salesforce ecosystem? Like what brought you here to this moment?
Um, well, it actually started with my husband, who has been in the ecosystem since about, I think, 2012. And he went to Dreamforce in 2013 and said, "Do you want to come to San Francisco with me?" And I went, "Sure." I
Of
love San
course.
Francisco. So, and basically, I ended up somehow getting a ticket for one of these free exhibition tickets, not the paid ones. Um, and I did that in 2013 and sort of went, "Oh, wow, this is cool." And did it again in 2015. And then in 2016, he actually brought home a Trailblazers hoodie from Dreamforce. I didn't go with him that year. And I decided at that point to start learning Trailhead for kicks at the
Yeah.
time. And then a couple of years later, decided, why am I just learning this? I like it. I can do it. Why not turn this into a career? Which
Yeah.
is fast forward to now. I'm working as a virtual system admin, freelancing on contracts with clients both in the US and in the UK. And even though I live in Canada, and yeah, and I'm multiple have multiple certifications. I've started a Salesforce Saturday group, and I
Yeah.
also run the first architect group in Canada.
Which is just incredible. And I think what a fun way to like kind of kick off your Salesforce journey in Salesforce's Mecca, San Francisco. Like what a fun place to kind of discover Salesforce for yourself.
Yeah, so it was totally overwhelming, and
Yeah.
to be honest, I didn't actually totally get what Salesforce really was
Yeah.
until I started learning it. Even
Yeah.
though, like I said, I attended to Dreamforces in a way, and it was like, yeah, okay, this is all just cool.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Pretty colors and lights and shows and celebrities. Like this is fun. Yeah.
yep, yep,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah.
So,
Well, as somebody who has made their journey from Dreamforce on and into being the expert that you are and a group leader, what is to you when someone comes and asks like the best Salesforce resource? Like where do you send somebody when they want to begin their journey?
Trailhead, every time. That is like my first and foremost resource that I use. And then I also recommend, depending on what they're looking for, there's the admin podcast,
Yeah.
the architect podcast, the, you know, ad, admin, the admin resources, of
Yeah. Yeah.
course. And then I just start saying, network, go to the
Yeah.
community groups, even if it's outside of your per particular realm.
Yeah.
Learn about the different sides. If you're an admin, learn a bit about developing an architecture. If you're an architect, make sure you keep up on the admin stuff. And if you're a developer, definitely learn how admins think.
Yeah, I think that's wonderful advice because it just would make such a more well-rounded Salesforce journey, which we don't always see. People get really into like their one kind of thing that they're doing. So that's excellent, very sound advice. And as like an expert, as a consultant, somebody who spends so much time in other people's orgs, what to you is like that underrated Salesforce gem, that product that you're like, hey, everybody should be using this, and not enough people are freaking out about it.
Um, Anything that helps you look at the permissions. So there's the Heroku comparator
Mhm.
is one of them. And things like Field Trip to help you take a look at the fields that
Yeah,
they all do. And I work mostly with nonprofits. Most of them never ever, unless I tell them to or that I do it for them, ever look at Salesforce Optimizer or
yeah,
Health Check. And both of those should be a regularly scheduled item to work on. So
absolutely. Yeah, couldn't agree more. Couldn't agree more. And as somebody who's so plugged into all of these organizations, and I know that you work really closely with the community, I know you talk to a lot of people within Salesforce. Like, what do you have a prediction for the journey that Salesforce has ahead? I know there's a lot of grumblings about AI and like where things are going. What do you think is going to be a big focus, especially going into this year, 2024?
Well, I mean, you can't escape that the focus is going to be AI.
Yeah.
And I think data cloud. I think between the two of those, that will be a lot more of the focus. Let's move it, like moving away from chain sets,
Hmm.
which, by the way, I don't do big things, so I tend to still like them. But I do understand the positives that can come out of using data cloud. And so I think that's where the focus is going to be. And then with the changes, especially in education and nonprofit clouds, they're going more towards the industry related side. Um, that is going to be a big thing,
Yeah.
especially since I work with nonprofits. It's a lot of
Yeah.
things I'm going to be dealing with.
Yeah, I know we have a lot of nonprofit fans who like watch us on YouTube and are clients of ours. So I think this will be a perfect conversation for them to hear to kind of like, okay, like, this is where things are headed. Maybe I should take a look. Outside of Salesforce, what are you into, Kathy? Like, tell us like what is something just for people to know what you're into. Like, what have you been watching, listening to? Is there anything that you want people to know about?
Um, I love reading, and I have I have a Kindle and a Kobo and books.
All
So
three.
yeah, all three of them. So I just read, and I just a lot of the times, as much as I try to read industry specific books, I tend to read the junky novels just because I want to de disconnect. Um, and I really I really wish my NPR worked. I'm on an antenna, so I don't get great reception on all my channels, but I do miss like American Test Kitchen and Cook's Country. They're probably my favorite cook.
Yeah.
I like cooking shows
Yeah.
because I keep wanting to be inspired to cook something different than, everything I cook all the time.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
those are and then I'm behind the time on everybody else. I'm just catching up on all the podcasts or all the binge watching that everybody else has done, and
Yeah.
just finished The Crown, and need to start on, I don't know, I think it's Charlotte or Prince Queen Charlotte or whatever that
Whatever the next
Bridgerton
one
one.
is.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I just binge whatever I happen to catch, and so
Sounds great. I mean, reading seems to be a big trend that people are going back to reading, which is really cool. I know a lot of young people are like really into reading right now, which is
yeah.
really awesome to see. So thank you so much for your recommendations and telling us about yourself. Kathy, where can people find you? I know that there's going to be people watch this who are going to say, I want to get in touch with Kathy. I want to join that user group. I want to join whatever she's into. So where can people find you out there?
Okay, well, in the Trailblazer community, you'll probably find me under the name Kathleen as opposed to Kathy. Long story with WebAssessor, but um, it's Kathleen Waterworth. I'm obviously on the Trailblazer community. My user groups are the York Simcoe Salesforce Saturday group and the New Market Architect group. Both on the community, you can find them there. I'm on X or Twitter or whatever you call it today, as well as LinkedIn. Though LinkedIn and Twitter are both still as Kathy, and those are probably the best places to find me. And I'm also on the Ohana Slack and you know Amplify Slack and bunch of the other
Sure.
community Slack groups as well.
Perfect. Well, we'll put some links down in the description below so that people can reach out to you and join your groups and
Yep.
see what you're up to and learn from you, hopefully.
Yeah. Well, I welcome the chance.
Yeah,
Just if you do connect, please leave a message to say where you heard me from, because I tend to be really reluctant to just do cold acceptances on everybody. So,
noted.
uh,
If you heard it, reach out with a message.
yes, please.
Please let Kathy know
It,
where you heard it.
that's a good practice, especially on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Make a comment of where you got the name from.
Yeah, and that's the whole point of connecting, right?
Yep.
So, thank you so much for being here, Kathy. I really appreciate it. And thank you for being a continued source of inspiration for our company. To our viewers out there, thank you so much for joining us. We've had a pleasure having you. And if you would like to learn anything more about cloud adoption solutions, what Kathy is doing or anything else from this series, please feel free to watch our other videos and follow us at cloudadoptionsolutions.com. But thank you so much for everybody joining us today. Kathy, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. It was a lot of fun, and glad we finally managed to get the time.
Yeah, absolutely. Everybody's busy these days, but thank you for making the time. To our viewers, thank you for taking the time to watch us. Have a great day.